5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, assalamu alaikum, guys. This is a podcast about some things. Don't forget about the space. I am your host, GEO, and co-founder of the podcast, Aman Khalid. I think that one went over Corey's head. It's supposed to be, don't forget about the space between some and things. We're not like a podcast about something.
Went over my head.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I tried it, but it didn't really work. Okay, anyway, I'm your host, GEO, and co-founder of the podcast, Aman Khalid. As always, I'm joined by my two co-host friends. I'm going to start calling them the Rowdy Rough Boys because I don't know what else to call them. It's Coach Corey Lawson, who you can follow at Coach_Corey_fit, and Andrew Jr. Akunna, a.k.a. AJ, who you can follow at _AJ Takeover. What's up, guys?
What up?
What's good, man?
How are you guys feeling this week? It's a new podcast. It's a new week. There's a lot of things going on. How's it going?
Basketball is back. I couldn't feel any better than
It's going good, man. I'm an entrepreneur. There's no such thing as days of the week. I don't know what day it is, so.
I think that's a lot of people in the quarantine right now. But as you guys know, today's show is a podcast about many things, okay? So today we're going to be talking about the NFL. There's a lot of drama coming out of the AFC West. Some by the players in the AFC West, some by, ESPN people who just want to make some bold claims, but we're going to get into that. And then, we got to talk some NBA bubble. Last week, AJ wasn't here, so we're going to get his opinions on some of the things. And then, there's just a lot of things been going around. The NBA never sleeps, so we got to talk about that. But before we get into that, let me just mention all of our social media stuff, the website, all of the dub content we're getting out. The website is a website about somethings.com. Make sure you can check it out there. You can find all of our Instagram, Twitter, social media, stuff like that. So just check that out. And there's also going to be some new articles coming out. I just released the Homer's Guide to the Pocket Rockets. It's basically just what it sounds like. I basically just wrote about a bunch of the players on the Rockets and kind of gave my opinion. Corey's got a Drake article releasing this week. AJ's got some stuff in the works, so be sure to check that out. It's going to be dropping on Twitter. We'll let you all know. But anyway, let's go. Let's get right into it. The NFL. The biggest news coming out of the week was obviously a huge trade. The NFL is starting to look like the NBA. And no, it is Russell Wilson related, but no, it's not the fact that he had what seems like his 100th kid with Sierra over the weekend. I don't know.
Win.
I don't know exactly when, but he definitely had a kid.
No, the name is Win.
Oh, the name is Win. Sorry.
the first name is Win. Win Wilson.
Win Wilson. Okay, yeah, you got me there.
Nah, you lying. You trolling.
No, I swear. If I'm lying, I'll pay you $20. Literally, I didn't believe. I had to look it up. The first name
Win
is Win.
Short for something like Winfrey,
no,
Wendell.
like WIN. Like we win football games.
Sure it's
that's the
short
name.
for something.
Maybe it is, but on both Twitters they're coming
Winning
out.
Wilson. It's short for Winning Wilson.
Russ and Sierra, they're both referring to him on Twitter as Win Wilson. That's right.
All right. But no, we are not talking about Win Wilson, the present to Russell Wilson. No, Russ actually might have gotten a bigger present this weekend. Ooh, a much sweeter present. Now, the Seahawks traded for Jamal Adams in what was a historic haul for the safety. For me, this is a win for every party, but we'll start with the Seahawks, okay? A team that won a Super Bowl in 2014 off the backs of their impressive secondary. It was made up of Brandon Browner, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. You guys know the crew. And the Seahawks traded away 2 first-round picks, a future third-rounder, and a solid vet in Bradley McDougald. But they get to remake the Legion of the Boom. And I know, Corey, you got a lot of opinions on the cover 3 and that whole team. I know you've done a lot of research.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And you probably know a little bit about Jamal Adams. So how do you think he fits in the cover 3? Because for me, I don't know a damn thing about football or like football schemes. So you're a resident football guy. I'm just going to throw it to you, and you're just going to give us your Jamal Adams take.
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to say about the trade overall, a lot of folks are saying, well, did the Seahawks give up too much to get him? to me, they're doing the exact opposite of Green Bay. Like Green Bay is sitting there and saying, "Hey, Aaron Rodgers, you're pretty good, but we're more focused on the future." And we're bashing Green Bay for that. So I'm saying let's not bash Seattle for doing the opposite. They're saying let's win right now. They're like, we have Russell Wilson. He's young. The time is now to win. Go ahead.
What do you mean by Green Bay doing the opposite? Like they're holding on to Aaron as opposed to trading him?
So what I mean by that was in last year's NFL draft, the Packers traded it up to take a quarterback first round. That's what I mean by that. So whereas they could have gotten a receiver, could have got a defensive player, somebody to help them win football games today, they traded up in the draft and took a quarterback, right? Versus Seattle saying, to hell with 2021, 2022, let's win football games right now, bringing in Jamal.
But look, my issue with this is like, I don't know if the Seahawks are a Super Bowl team, and I don't know if getting a safety puts them over the top, right? Like for me, they were 11-5 last year, but they were playing in a lot of close games. And at the end of the day, you're looking at who you got to face in the Super Bowl, and you're looking at that Chiefs offense. And what does Jamal Adams do?
I mean, let's not get over our heads here. Nobody's calling them the champs, but to get there, I think that's a lock. I mean,
that's huge.
As long as Jadeveon stays, I mean,
well, Jadeveon isn't staying, so. That's out of the question now. What do you mean?
Oh, is that part of the deal with
Well, I don't. Jamal? I mean, I don't think Jadeveon is coming back at this point. I don't know.
Why not?
It's up in the air. I don't know, but he hasn't signed, so why would he be coming back? It's not like there's no.
If he does,
if he does, but we're not doing ifs. He's not there right now. So.
There's still a stacked defense, and if he does stay, they're even that much more stacked. They're even that. I mean. I don't know what changes they made on offense or what they've added for their running attack, but they were pretty damn good offensively last year, and defense was their weak point, and their defense is looking like their strength. So they don't come out of the NFC.
Well, I mean, all they did was add a safety, and for me, it's like, what does a safety add for an NFL team? I don't know. I would rather send 2 first-round picks for a pass rusher or like a cornerback. A safety for me is just – it's not a position that you need to be – moving that type of capital for. So like I understand that the Seahawks are going to be competitive. Obviously they were competitive last year.
I feel like it's the Seahawks. So it's like you're looking at just a safety, whereas the Seahawks know exactly what to do with Jamal. He's not just a safety. He's going to be that guy that can play multiple positions, play most of the field, most of that back end. So I don't know.
I would throw in too. I think in general, Aman is right that a safety isn't a kind of make or break, but I would argue that historically a safety who's good enough is, right? So tell that to Troy Polamalu, tell that to Ed Reed, even going back to the previous Seahawks, right? It's like tell that to Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, tell it to Tyrann Mathieu in Kansas City last year. So I think if a safety's good enough, that can be a game changer. I think
on top of that,
95% of safeties, you're right. But I think for the right safeties, you can be. Go ahead.
And to piggyback on top of that, like I think the Seahawks are the place where that's the most likely for him to be maximized. Like he was already good enough with the Jets, and everybody knows how they feel about the Jets. So you look at the Seahawks, who have historically, for the past 10, 15 years, they know what to do with the defensive back. So they got the best one in the game right now, I think.
I mean, I disagree with the point you just made because I don't know if he was good enough for the Jets. The Jets didn't win anything with Jamal Adams. It's not like
they were trying to lose games.
but here's the thing, though, is the Jets also didn't have a veteran franchise quarterback like Russell Wilson, right? So I don't think the argument that I'm trying to make is, hey, if you have a great safety, the offense doesn't matter at all. I think what I'm trying to say is, look, if you have – a guy at quarterback, then getting that elite safety can push teams over the top. So all the examples I use, right, it's like Troy Polamalu still had Big Ben on offense, right? Ed Reed still had, we're going to skip Ed Reed, but Cam Chancellor had Russell Wilson and Troy and Tyrann Mathieu obviously had
Jamal will have the same, an even better version of it.
Exactly.
Jamal's going to have an even better version of Russell. So
yeah, for Jamal, obviously, this is, I mean, a win for him. Ever since, that hilarious footage of him getting locked out of the Jets facility, he's made it a point to get out of New York. And, the fifth pick in the 2017 draft featured over Money Mitchell Trubisky. He was picked below him. My guy.
And he gets to pick on Jared for a couple games this season. Like, that's going to,
Okay, yeah.
He can still wet his feet a little bit.
So I'll jump into. So Amon asked earlier about, like, what kind of safety Jamal is. So for me with Jamal Adams, and AJ alluded to him, he's a guy who can just move around and play a lot of different positions and play them all really well, right? So in the cover three, you need one safety who can be in the box, who can be kind of a linebacker / safety, play the run, play the pass. Jamal can do that. You also need a guy in the deep middle. We call it the center field. That's what Earl Thomas used to do back in the day. A guy who could just get back there deep middle and just cover ground. Again, Jamal can do both. And so that's where I think that for Seattle, he is a really good fit. And look, again, I go back to, yes, they gave up a lot, but I don't think they're thinking about 2022 and 2023. I think they're thinking about right now, and they're saying, hey, we were 11-5 last year without much help around Russell. What if we iron out the defense again? That has been the formula before. Let's run it back.
And not to string out this topic, too much, but Aman was saying how they were in so many close games. They were in so many close games because people were coming back on them. Like, their offense wasn't the issue. It was that they would let people back in the game. They would catch, a quick bomb, and they're right back in it, a couple of scores down or whatever, and there you go. They have their issue solved right there. So,
yeah, but for me, it always just draws back to, I don't know how much of a safety.
I will throw that out there.
Sorry, we kind of broke up. You kind of broke up there. What'd you say?
Oh, nothing. I was just saying they still have to protect Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they still got to protect Russell.
Oh, yeah.
They still got to get pass rush, and, Jamal Adams is still safety. So, at the end of the day, don't know if this is a win for him. But the Jets, for me, I think they won this trade because they got 2 first-rounders for a guy who probably wasn't going to help them win in the future or in the near future. And, they got a pretty good haul for him, 2 future first-rounders for a safety.
Yeah.
That, to me, is like, look, the Jets are moving in the right direction.
That's right, they are.
They might not know what they have in Sam Darnold, but this is a smart move for the Jets. And you can't just deny trades like this when it comes for a single player. You got to take the shots in the draft, and that's what it's all about for me at the end of the day, right? Like, a team that's going to be successful in the NFL is going to have more opportunities at getting a superstar player or getting a guy who's going to make a difference. And that means getting more opportunities in the first round and the second round and the third round and, acquiring draft capital. So for the Jets, I mean, I think they won the trade. I think they get an A for the trade. And for the Seahawks, I mean, it's yet to be seen. I think for them to win this trade, they really have to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know about winning the Super Bowl, but they definitely have to win the division now. And I mean, you saw with the Rams and with the Bears and even with the Texans when they traded 2 future first rounders, it's like if you don't make that push in the immediate future in the season upcoming or the next season, you're stuck, right? Like you don't have much in the first round or in the second round because you're giving up even those like auxiliary picks to get these guys. So
yeah, but this is where I go back to, you got to think about what is the position each team is in. So I'm not denying the Jets did great, right? But the Jets have a quarterback who's in his 3rd year. The Jets know they can't win right now. So for a team like them, they need to be building for 2024, 2025, so on and so forth. Same for the other teams you mentioned. The Bears, young quarterback. Houston, young quarterback. Rams, young quarterback. All those teams, they should have been thinking, how do we build for the future? Seattle's in a different position. They've got a veteran quarterback and a quarterback who runs the ball a lot, right? So how long do you really want to wait for the future? That's a team that's got to win now. And I would even add to that, even though the Seahawks really hit big on the draft picks, drafting Russell Wilson, drafting Bobby Wagner, Sherman, all those guys, in recent years, they've been missing in the draft anyway. They have not been a team who's drafted really well in recent years. So you got to sit there and ask, it's like, look, our quarterback's not getting any younger. Neither is Bobby Wagner, the captain of their defense. How long can they wait?
Well, I think also to be fair to the Seahawks, they did get very lucky with hitting in the third round on Russell Wilson. So that definitely took
But
everything else to the
100%.
next level, right?
But I'm saying that just
Yeah,
furthers the point.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
This is not a team that can wait on the draft.
I
Is
do-
what I'm saying.
I do just want to give a quick shout out to another team who was completely obliterated when the trade happened. But the Steelers definitely got to steal Minkah Fitzpatrick. They only gave up a single first rounder for that guy. And now looking at this Jamal Adams trade and just comparing it, it's like, wow, the Steelers are moving in.
Why would they get destroyed for that?
They were destroyed when the trade got happened, for sure. People were thinking that they were going to give
I'm sure that was like a media-based kind of thing. I don't understand that.
No, they had just lost their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, and people thought it was going to be a top 5 pick. People weren't believing in the defense or Minkah Fitzpatrick. Of course, it was a steal. What do you mean? I mean, that was just – it wasn't just –
I'm saying like, why would they think that Minkah Fitzpatrick is not worth that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because the media, in my opinion, the media overvalues draft picks. Right? They overvalue the draft pick, which could be a hit or a miss. Especially, by the way, a first-round draft pick who's going to get a much better contract than guys in the second, third round. Yeah. So, to me, that's the answer. Is media hears you traded first-round pick for this guy. I don't know. And for me, I'm like, yo, if you can plug him in and worst-case scenario, he's a starter on your defense.
Yeah.
Best case, he could be an all-pro guy. For one first-round pick, I'm with him on.
But we also didn't know Patrick was before he got to the Steelers. Like, he was okay.
Agreed.
He went to the
Steelers. That's true.
And he turned it around. So
I don't think he was okay. I think he was pretty damn good.
But he wasn't this. Not in my head. He was not this. Like you have to say.
Yeah, I randomly remember watching like a random Miami game, and I was like, "This dude is making play after play."
Why are you watching random Miami games? That's the real question.
I think it was fantasy related. I think they were playing somebody.
Who do you have on the Miami?
Not on Miami. The Miami. They were playing somebody that I had. It was one of those, I thought they were gonna eat on Miami, and he kept making plays type shit. Like, he was stopping
he obviously had the talent, but it wasn't.
It had not been materialized. Pittsburgh was
materialized on my fantasy score. That's where it was materialized.
Well, first of all, Fitzpatrick is a defensive player, so he didn't give you fantasy points.
He stopped my player. I remember losing that game. I remember being mad at Fitzpatrick because I lost the game because he was there was a quarterback it was a quarterback. It was my quarterback playing Miami, and Fitzpatrick made hella plays. So I was like.
And second of all, I'm just going to point out that was his first Pro Bowl year. Was Pittsburgh? He popped. All right. He went from kind of young safety in the NFL to like, okay, who is this guy?
All right, AJ's feeling stupid, but we got to move on. I'm joking.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm just playing. All right, let's move on. We got to move on. All right, so this wasn't mainstream news. This wasn't mainstream news, but I do want to get into it. Bill Barnwell had an interesting article the other day this week. He wrote about the top 260 players who could win an MVP this year. And if you guys don't know who Bill Barnwell is, he's like ESPN's NFL guy who does all these articles and stuff. I actually didn't even really get into the list all that much because I got 2 paragraphs into the article and he made this ridiculous proposition. I don't think you guys think it's ridiculous, but I personally think it's ridiculous. Let me just read it. Let me just read it out for everyone so there's no confusion about the take, all right? So, quote, my favorite from this group, Mahomes. Let me be clear. I'm not saying Mahomes is on track to become a Hall of Famer. I'm saying Mahomes already has a resume he needs to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame right now. Despite the fact that he's 24 and everyone else in the group is 36 or older, he fits alongside this group of legends. Why? The list of players who have won an AP MVP award and a Super Bowl MVP isn't long. Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Bart Starr, Terry Bradshaw, Marcus Allen, John Elway, Steve Young, Emmitt Smith, Terrell Davis, and Kurt Warner. All right, that's kind of long. I'm just saying. All right, are the only ones in the club. All 9 of the eligible players on this list are in the Hall of Fame, and Brady, Rodgers, and Manning are obvious locks. The only other player in the list is Mahomes, who has one of the greatest passing seasons in league history, 2018, on his resume. If Mahomes decided tomorrow to forego his contract and retire to become a professional professional beer pong hustler. He has already done enough to make it to the Hall of Fame. All right. Thank you, Bill Barnwell, for that take. I strongly disagree here for many reasons. All right. Let me start with the main one. Patrick Mahomes' Hall of Fame career or take or resume or whatever cannot be based off a single season, all right? 2018 was great. Like, obviously, he threw for 50 touchdowns. He won the MVP. But it's a single season. And at the end of the day, this guy has less than 10,000 yards through the air and less than 100 touchdowns thrown. Okay, so I looked back. I checked it out. 28 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame total, okay? 0 of these quarterbacks have less than 10,000 yards thrown. The lowest of the 28 is this dude named Bob Waterfield, who threw for 11,849 yards, but he played football in like 1945, so he doesn't really count. Sid Luckman is next with like 14,000 yards, 686 yards, and he played football in the 1940s as well, so he also doesn't count. And those guys both combined for the lowest number of touchdowns out of the 28 quarterbacks with 97 and 137. So generally speaking, none of these quarterbacks have under like 200 touchdowns thrown, and they generally have over 25,000 yards. Mahomes currently stands at 76 touchdowns and 9,412 yards. So the case would have to be just super unique, super exceptional. And for me, it's like the guy only threw for 26 touchdowns last year, which is incredible. Obviously, I'm not going to take it away.
Oh, he also missed 2 games.
Okay, he also missed 2 games.
2 games.
He also won the Super Bowl MVP. So I'm
That's
not,
right. That's
I'm
right.
not going to take away from the season. But it's not
and dropped 40 against Houston.
Okay, in the playoffs, coming back from 24 down. But am I crazy to think that this guy doesn't have the potential to be just like another Aaron Rodgers, a guy who we thought was like the most talented guy in the league?
So, okay. Well,
go ahead.
Well, there's a few questions at hand. The first question is about, is he Hall of Fame material? Now, you gave us some stats about touchdowns and yards. That's great, but I have a counter stat for you, okay?
Right,
Since you listed the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, I'm going to ask you this. How many quarterbacks have a Super Bowl MVP and a regular season MVP who are not in the Hall of Fame? Oh, wait. Oh, say it louder. Say it louder. Say it louder, please.
0.
Oh, okay. Let the church get amen. Okay.
But look, how many of those guys have played 2 full seasons?
But the question still stands. Okay.
I mean, because the guy did it just so quickly, like, we really gonna penalize him because he just did it? And it's not like it's a fluke. We can all be realistic and honest with ourselves.
That's not the argument.
It's not a fluke.
It's not the argument.
It's not a fluke.
It's if he retires now. If he retires now, that's 2 seasons. We're talking about Hall of Fame careers. 28 guys all time who have made it as a quarterback. And you think 2 years he puts him in that category? I don't think so. That's just – I mean, maybe. I don't know.
But here's the thing. AJ makes a good point. Are we penalizing him for just doing it in less time? Right? I mean, I'm sure there are quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame who maybe they played 10, 15 years, but they never won a Super Bowl or they never won an MVP, and they're in the Hall of Fame. So because they had more mediocre years, they have a better case?
Like, we're just going to reward you because you had some mediocre seasons. But this guy that did everything then.
Mediocre seasons. These guys are 28 of the most
pretty good seasons.
Teams, right?
They're mediocre to pretty good compared to what Pat just did right now in 2 years. Anything outside of what Pat did in these 2 years is pretty good to mediocre. Like, it doesn't compare.
So how many years did Brady throw for over 26 touchdowns?
I don't know, but he's a Hall of Famer.
At least 10. So it's not like these.
Yeah, but you're talking about the greatest quarterback ever.
Okay, what about Manning?
That can't be the
or like John Elway.
Okay, wait, time out. Well, here's what we cannot do. Here's what we cannot do, right? If we're asking, should he be a Hall of Famer? There are 28 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. You cannot. No, wait.
We're comparing them to those guys.
But hear me. Come on. There's 28 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and you just led with arguably the 4 best of all time. He's like,
the first one that came to my mind.
I know it was. I wonder why. Because they're the best ever. This guy leads with, compared to Brady, Montana, Peyton Manning. How about
he's there already? Like you're just making your point. You're just making the point and talk about
the point. I disagree with AJ's point that these other quarterbacks are just having mediocre seasons. Like these 28 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame have several seasons that are very good.
I'm not saying they're having mediocre seasons. I'm saying like, so you just want him to just play more. Like, what do you want him to do? Just play more? Just play more?
Yeah, what is this? Like,
I want him to have more yards and more touchdowns. Yes.
I mean, that's it. So he has to just play more. Like, okay, I guess I'll just play more, even though I already won the MVP, won a Super Bowl MVP. I had a historic season. I guess I'll just play more anyways because
that puts
just do it. Like,
all of those accomplishments, like getting there the fastest, that allows him to be in the conversation to be the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Like that's what that does. Yes. But for me, that doesn't enshrine him in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame careers are based off careers, consistent careers, a certain amount of yards, a certain amount of touchdowns. These things have to be touched. Like we're talking about if he retired today. So I understand like in the future, he's obviously going to hit this. I'm not denying what Pat Mahomes is going to do. But right now, he has less than 100 touchdowns and less than 10,000 yards. No Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't know why you're saying yards, total yards, and like you're looking at his totals as opposed to what he did with his time. What he did with his time. Hall of Fame is what did you do with your time. It's not just how much you did. You know what I'm saying? Like I like Bomani. He likes to talk about Jason Witten. You're a prime guy that was just doing a lot with not really a lot. He was just there for a long time.
Right.
So they're like, well, he did it for a long time. He has so many yards, but he wasn't really doing anything. He was catching 5-yard checkdowns. Like that's why they're, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that he has to play more even though he just hit 2 out of 2? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like.
So since Aman wants to talk about, John Elway and Tom Brady, let's talk about some other Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right? Let's go with Lynn Dawson. No MVPs. I believe no championships. Could be wrong. Jim Kelly, definitely no MVPs, no championships. Bob, let's see.
Look at his
Dan
eyes
Fouts.
scanning all the receipts. I look at him.
I mean, I'm just saying. There's a good amount of quarterbacks in there. In the Hall of Fame who don't have an MVP and or don't have a championship.
I mean, I don't know if that's are we going to put Joe Flacco in there because he's got a Super Bowl MVP or Eli Manning?
It's not about
But
that.
I'm talking about having both. But no, I'm saying having both. You know damn well
and then on top of that,
Eli and Flacco never sniffed a regular season MVP, and you know
right. And then think about it, to kind of think about it even more context, like you can argue that a lot of these other guys kind of got carried in a way. Dude, Pat was out there making it happen. It's me. I'm the one. I'm carrying y'all. Like, I mean, the defense, all right, I guess we got scored on again. Kelsey. Let me go and score again. Like, it's on him. It's not like he's just like a serviceable guy making plays when he needs. No, he's making the play.
We're just forgetting Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey and, Kareem.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Bless up. Shout out to the Chiefs organization. Well, they did that for him. But
I'm gonna give a historical example, different position. But this is an example. Terrell Davis, running back for the Broncos in the 90s, he had a 3-year run. He had three Pro Bowl seasons. Outside of that, he literally only had one other healthy year. I'm not even saying one other Pro Bowl year. I'm saying he only had one other year where he even played all the games. And he's in the Hall of Fame as a running back. So, is Pat in today? I don't know. But the bar for him is literally – I don't know. Play three more
Texas game. I was like,
play 3 more average seasons and he's in. Like, is that what the bar is?
No.
I mean, Terrell Davis is
the bar was the Texans versus Chiefs, 2019. I forget the exact date, but that day when we were up, how many points was it? 21 or 14? And that man said,
not enough.
That man said, I mean, y'all gonna do this to me? I mean, I guess I'll break the sweat. Shit.
But again, Aman, I'm curious, what to you does he need to do? Is it 3 more average seasons? Because again, Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame.
It's just more total yards. He just wants him to break some more total yards.
I'm asking Aman because Terrell literally had 4 healthy seasons. So Pat's heading into year 3 as a starter. So what's remaining that he needs to do?
4 healthy seasons.
4 healthy seasons. Oh my God.
I'm just saying, we're talking about right now. That's the case, dude. I'm not saying he's not gonna do it. I'm just saying right now, dude. That's the most ridiculous thing. He has less than 10,000 yards. He has one great, fantastic year and a year where he won.
I mean, that's like
because his team was amazing.
There's like a scaling to this that I don't want to do the mental gymnastics for, but you're just like, this whole total yards thing is just, it's really not a basis of a Hall of Fame argument. Like, you got to do what did you do with your time? That is the argument. You got to contextualize the player. You got to contextualize the career.
You're using another metric just as I am. You're using Super Bowl.
Let me ask this. Wait. I got you guys. I got it. A simple question, right? If we stacked up the quarterbacks with the most yards, do you think, and I'm talking about like on a per season basis, like if we said 2019, who has the most yards, you think the top 5 in order would denote who the best quarterbacks are?
No.
But I don't think so.
I'm just saying there is a certain prerequisite for a Hall of Fame quarterback.
But hear me though.
Yards and touchdowns are certainly that.
Here's what I'm trying to drive.
Yards and touchdowns.
Okay. But here's what I'm trying to drive at. Is with MVPs, at least you know this player was elite. With yards, Matt Stafford's going to have a lot of yards when he retires. You got guys like Matt Ryan's going to be probably top 5 in yards when he retires. That's what I think AJ's saying when it's like the yards don't always tell the full story. But MVPs, at least I know you were elite.
So here's my
during that time span.
If Lamar Jackson was to win the Super Bowl next year, is he in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, again – Super Bowl.
He did historic things.
I don't think so.
If he does some more historic things,
I just don't think so. I think
he had a shakier start, but if he goes out and does the same thing career next year.
At a fundamental level, for me, it has to be for a career, a Hall of Fame career. This is what we're talking about. The NFL makes it a point to make the Hall of Fame special. For me, I think it has to be for a career, and I don't think single seasons are good enough to make Hall of Fame cases.
Okay, but then I go back to, what do you have to say about Terrell Davis?
I mean, he's the exception,
he was
not the
on
rule.
Your wall for a long time.
He's the exception, not the rule. He was on my wall. I did have a poster of him, but I don't know. I think we've touched on this far enough. Do you guys have any last thoughts before we move on?
No.
My last thought, it was interesting. We didn't get to it, but you mentioned the Aaron Rodgers comparison. That will be interesting, especially because Pat just signed that big contract. So we don't know if Kansas City can keep the help around Pat.
Oh,
I think they've got to win another championship or 2 in the next 2 or 3 years, because pretty soon Kelsey's contract's going to expire. Tyreek's going to expire. Tyran's going to expire. So to me, they have this little window between now and, say, 2022, and they need to get any championships they can.
All right, let's move on. We got some other AFC West news, and we're just going to touch on this really quickly because there's not much to touch on, honestly. But Keenan Allen was upset over the weekend because NFL.com does their annual player rankings, and he was listed as the 77th best player in the league, which I think is a little bit disrespectful. But then he came out and, in typical NFL wide receiver diva fashion, he made this tweet. He made this tweet the other day, basically calling out every NFL wide receiver, saying that he was the best wide receiver in the league, and not Tyreek Hill, not Mike Evans, and not Chris Goodwin. He tagged the wrong. But Corey, again, I'm going to throw this one to you. You're our resident football guy. I love Keenan Allen. Like, this guy, he's underrated as hell. I think he's a great player, obviously. Probably the second best route runner in the league. For me, it's him, Devontae, or Adam Thielen. But
that's the 3.
But the claim that he's the best wide receiver in the league, obviously blasphemous to me. But even the AFC West, I'm taking Tyreek Hill all day over him. But I know you might like route running a little bit more than me. So
yeah,
what do you think?
So my thoughts, and really Keenan Allen embodies this, is playing receiver at the pro level is about much more than just speed. Because the problem is DBs don't let you just run a straight line, right? So you've got to be able to shake guys, get open. Things like agility, you can argue, become a lot more important than just straight line speed. So is Keenan the best receiver in the NFL? No, right? But I think he has a case in the AFC West. I understand that Tyreek Hill produces a lot more, but you should also compare the situations they're in, right? So for Tyreek Hill, he also plays next to Travis Kelce and has Pat Mahomes and has Andy Reid's entire offensive system. Now, what does that mean for a receiver? What it means is if I'm playing defense against a Tyreek Hill, I can't afford to just double team this guy every play. And I can't afford to just jam this guy every play either because we have other guys to worry about. Versus a Keenan Allen, you can kind of sell out on defense and say, we're going to double this guy as many plays as we can. And so when he gets production, you got to keep that in mind as well. So for me, I love Keenan because, again, it's not just about speed. He ran a 4.7 in college, but his route running, he proves that it's about getting open. It's about getting separation, and speed doesn't do that all the time. Is he the best receiver in the league? No, he's not Julio. He's probably not Odell Beckham. He's definitely not DeAndre Hopkins. So I get all that. But I think the case between
Who's
him
the
and
best
Tyreek,
to you? Like, who would you say is number one on your list right now, receiver?
it's not popular because everyone plays fantasy football and everyone loves touchdowns. I still think the best receiver is Julio Jones. It's tough. And then after him, after him, maybe DeAndre. With Julio, it's just he does everything really well, right? It's like he creates separation. He's fast. He jumps. He has the hands. He catches in traffic. He can go deep. He can go short. He can catch screens. It's literally like create a receiver. It's like whatever you want him to do, Julio can do it. DeAndre is probably a close number 2, if not number 1. But that's my top 2. Okay. So again, is Keenan that? No, because as much as I love his route running, you know who also runs great routes? Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. And so he's not the best receiver in the league, but between him and Tyreek, I just think it's closer than people think.
I mean, are we putting him in the top 5?
So we got Julio's definitely in there. That's a given. DeAndre's definitely in there.
Michael Thomas.
So Michael Thomas, is he actually good? I really don't know about him as like a legit receiver. I don't know. Like, I just feel like
I think the thing you're driving at is when you have a receiver who gets a lot of stats, you kind of start questioning why.
That's what's going on. Like, I'm like, that system, Drew Brees, very pass friendly, very open. So I'm like, is he actually getting open like with his talent or the offense?
Oh, Michael Thomas.
I mean,
he's talented, but is he that much better than like Keenan Allen?
Well, look. The first counter I would give you is, when's the last time you had a New Orleans receiver and you were like, man, this guy's elite? Because Drew Brees and Sean Payton have been in that system for over a decade. When's the last time you had a receiver in New Orleans where you were like, this guy's elite?
Marcus Colston and then Jimmy Graham.
Elite?
And not even like elite. Marcus Colston was like,
right. That's my point. Yeah. So that's where I have to give Michael Thomas some credit, is that as much as you can point to Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they've been running this kind of football for a decade. And this is the first time they had a wide receiver who was like, this guy is incredible.
I forgot Brandon Cooks. He was there for like a year or 2. But.
Right, but even that,
Yeah, I was just going to mention him, yeah. But who's your top 5? So let's see. I want to –
All right, so we got Julio Jones.
DeAndre.
We got DeAndre. We got Michael Thomas.
Devontae Adams.
Ooh, this is where it gets tough because I love Devontae too.
There's Odell, Devontae, and Keenan at the bottom.
Let me ask this: how are we treating Odell Beckham? Because there's injury concerns. If you're saying, here's what I'll say: if you give me a healthy Odell Beckham, he's in there, and if you give me Antonio Brown being healthy, being in the league, he's in there as well. That would be the top 5. After that, you get to the Devontae Adams, you get to the Michael Evans. You get to the Keenan Allens. That would be probably my next 3 guys. They'd be my 6, 7, and 8.
Fair enough. I think that's a fair list. All right, let's move on. NBA time. You know what time it is.
Next topic. Yeah.
Next topic. All right, we're going to move on to the NBA bubble, guys. We did touch on it last week. AJ wasn't here, so he's got a lot of feelings and opinions on it. I don't know if he even listened to our podcast or any of our takes, so he might not even know what our takes are right now. But just to refresh, Corey loves Jason Tatum. He basically picked the Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Milwaukee finals. Pretty much standard finals pick. I picked the Lakers. I picked pretty much the same teams, I think. I forgot. But you know what? I'm glad that basketball is back. But these scrimmages have really taken a toll on my mental fortitude because I cannot handle the fact that like people don't realize that they're scrimmages and that despite the fact that like they're televised, NBA Twitter always has this like this ability to overreact to even the smallest thing. And yeah, so I know like I'm a buzzkill and I'm the resident pessimist and really on Twitter, like I feel like I should just like start doing this, just like start denying everybody's happiness because this is what I'm good at. But I fucking hate how much attention Bol Bol is getting right now. And look, I think he's really talented. I really loved him at Oregon.
Hater.
I really loved him at Oregon, but he did have a lot of injury issues. He didn't even get to finish the season. He was drafted 43rd in the draft or 44th, I forget. And look, he's obviously got length. He's obviously got some touch. But at the end of the day, I'm not looking at this guy and saying, wow, what a great basketball player. I'm just looking at him and saying, wow, he's got a lot of physical tools. He's just super
I just think that Aman is just a little bitter because he's seeing all these other organizations draft good players and they're like playing well and the Bulls are just like, nah.
Hey, man. Wendell Carter is still good. He's still better than
okay, yeah, you got a little hope there. I do like Wendell.
And Zach LaVine, okay. Come on, you're telling me you don't like Zach?
I mean, y'all not really making no.
Either way,
why is Denver doing this to y'all? I feel like Denver is just like.
We just stole Karnisovas. I don't even know how to say it. Arturas Karnisovas, their assistant GM. So maybe we'll.
Y'all need to start stealing something of theirs.
But look, I actually don't like Denver. I think Denver. I do not buy into Denver's hype. I do not buy into the young core. I think first off, let me talk my shit about Bol Bol because I don't think this guy has any offensive bag. I think his shot looks ugly as shit. I don't like it. He's just throwing things up in scrimmage right now. Nobody's really taking it seriously, and it's like, I don't know. We're just overreacting to Bol Bol. And furthermore, Michael Porter Jr., I think it's the same thing. We just overhype physical tools. He just, he looks nice. He can kind of dribble a little bit. He kind of does little things. But these guys ultimately, I'm talking super fast. Ultimately, these guys just don't have what I would call like great game.
I come in right now?
They're just not like great basketball players. And so
let me come in. Let me come in right quick because me personally, I have the exact opposite feeling about Denver. I'm just like, I don't want to make this comparison, but I look at them like Man City, just like spoiled with talent, and they just don't know how to do it. I mean, Man City knows what to do it. They're trying to figure it out, but they have so much talent, and they just keep hitting. And I see your point about the level of skill and basketball acumen with their young guys, Michael Porter, Bol Bol. But, dude, you already have Murray and you already have Beasley and you already have, Jokic. I keep wanting to call him Luka. You already have Jokic. Those guys are –
That is racist.
You know what I'm saying? I know. No, it's not. They just have a very similar name, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. But
I didn't do it. You did
it. They all have very, very good cerebral games. Like everybody doesn't have to be that like high level IQ basketball player that's like, moving, facilitating the ball. If Bol Bol wants to be what he is, a spot up shooter and a blocker, that's exactly what he needs to be because they don't need anything else. They don't really need him to take the ball up. They have Jokic and they have Murray.
Oh, I'm not saying
They don't need him
that.
to be like that. He's skilled, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a defensive anchor. He's, you know what I'm saying? As skinny as he is, he's already anchoring that defense.
I just don't like.
It's not pretty, but if it's open, he's gonna make it. So why does it matter? I'm sure
he's gonna do it at a consistent level in an NBA game, at an NBA intensity. Well, for me, it's like these are scrimmages, right? And go ahead.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, my question for Aman is: if you say we're overhyping him, what exactly do you believe the hype is right now? Like what do you feel we are making him out to be.
Yeah, there you go. That's
I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing a lot of people on NBA Twitter calling this guy the next superstar, the next rising.
Ignore those guys. Ignore those guys.
I mean,
They're
but
doing
even
too
things
much.
like the
Yeah.
next rising star, the next like the steal of the draft, stuff like.
He
I just
is
think
a steal of the draft.
I
He
just
is
think
very
those
good. He's
things
going to be
are
very productive.
reactions. Like, but there was a lot of good players in that second round. So I mean, there was a lot of steals in the draft. Then for me, if you call him a steal, then you have to say like he's better than all of these other players that were drafted.
Like who are you thinking an example that were also steals?
Let's just go through it right now. Eric Pascal.
Because I'm looking
one.
at Denver. You said Eric Pascal
was one. Let's see.
I mean, he's decent.
Let me go through the draft. Let me pull up the draft right now.
All I know is Ball is giving you 2 blocks a game.
But this is the thing we said about blocks last game.
Week.
Week.
Yeah, we play defense on 70 possessions a game. You can keep the 2 blocks.
Yeah, and it's like, is he really making a difference on every possession of the game? I don't know. I think he does a lot of flashy things. It's like nice when a 7-foot guy makes a 3-point jumper, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to do it at a consistent level. And I just don't have the hype.
The other question too is if you're Denver, are you going to have Jokic and Bol on the floor at the same time ever?
And maybe they do.
Yeah.
Maybe they go tall ball.
I like that. Because Ball doesn't have to touch the ball. Ball is the supplement.
Talking about defense.
You guys are framing this in a mindset to where Ball is the star, and that's not it. Look at Jokic. That's the star. Ball is the supplement, and he does all the supplementary things very well.
But you're talking about
put his hand up in the paint.
Okay.
And he can shoot the 3 when he's open.
Okay.
And he can also take it inside. He's got a nice little handle, even though it's a little slow, but he can get around you. He can get around. He's getting around you, or he can put up a floater. Like he has touch.
But here's my question.
He's going to develop a game around the touch.
Here's my question. Offense, that sounds great. Defensively, when teams go small against them, how do you have Jokic and Bol on the floor at the same time? You will get shredded.
What's his name? Malone, not Malone. Starts with the end. The coach. He just got to say Mike Malone. There you go. He's just got to look like he's got a game plan. Like if it's small ball, take him out.
He's just got a game plan. That's like saying, hey, all you got to do is calculus 3, man. That's all you got to do is calculus 3.
If you see that he's
the analytics,
you can try him out. You can try him out. See if he can play the 5 with a small ball lineup. You know what I'm saying? But
all he's got to do is look at the numbers.
They already have Jokic for that. I don't feel like he's going to be the guy to play in a small ball lineup. They'll use Jokic and the rest of their wing players. Like, he's there for the standard, you know what I'm saying, 1 through 5, half court. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like he's there for any kind of tricky, new style small ball offense.
But I think to Aman's point, how impactful is he really going to be if you're sitting there and telling me that he's got to be a second unit player, right? Because if you're saying that Jokic and Bol can't be on the floor at the same time, then what you're telling me is he's a second unit player.
And that just you're telling me he's not very good.
Well,
not at all times. He can start, but if teams start going small ball, then
which they will, that will be plan A, B, and C against these guys if you want to start Bol.
I'm looking at Denver as a unit. I'm not looking at.
So are we.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like their unit as it is now is very good. They have Jokic. Any small ball lineup, Jokic can anchor that and do what he needs to do. When it comes to him and ball on the court, I do feel like it's a plus. It may not always be a plus in small ball situations, but in standard situation, if it's 1 through 5, play him, roll him out there. He'll produce.
By the way, to Amon's point about the young core, to me, what Denver is missing, or at least what hasn't been proven yet, is do they have the guy who can just take over a game, right? Like, is between Jokic and John Morant, is either one going to be the scorer late in games that Kevin Durant has been, that LeBron has been, that Kawhi has been, that Steph Curry has been? Because if you don't have that player in this league, it's tough to win actual championships. You can get 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds, but when it's 2 minutes left, tie game in the finals, who are they giving the ball to, and how much do you trust that guy to just get an automatic bucket?
Yeah, and I'll make my final point on this, and it's really related to what you said. I feel like Denver has a lot of guys who just, like, I feel like they're missing something, right? Like Michael Porter, he's missing something. Jamal Murray's missing something. Gary Harris, he's missing something. Bol, he's just like, these guys are like, they have a lot of talent, right? Like pure raw talent, but they're just like not the best basketball players, right? Like these guys
have something to do with the fact that they're all like under 24, maybe, perhaps, possibly.
But my question was, again, which one of these guys in the future tense, which one is going to turn into the Kawhi?
I like
the KD,
Jamal's game.
the LeBron.
I feel like he just needs another year or two to become a killer. Like
but for me, it's like I don't know how many guys after 24 just become killers, right? Like it's just, for me, it's like such a rare thing to happen. I feel
it's
kind of pretty rare.
I think you see it like before 24, and you know it's coming before 24. Like we saw it with Giannis, we're gonna see it with Doncic, we're gonna see it with Zion probably, right? Like and like Moran a little bit, right? I don't know. For me, it's like Jamal Murray.
Y'all don't think Jamal is gonna take that next step, or Jokic's gonna take that? You guys, everybody has like a ceiling, like a.
But to Aman's point, right? It's like KD, we knew he was ridiculous at like 23. Same for LeBron, same for Giannis, right? So my question is, how confident, like which one of these guys is going to become the next KD, the next LeBron? And if they are, I'm like, I just haven't seen it yet. And to Aman's point, that rarely becomes the case after 25 if we haven't seen it before then. We could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. But to me, I'm like, if Denver's going to win a championship, I think they're missing a guy to come in, and that could be probably via trade or free agent or something. But I just don't see one of these guys becoming a top 3 player in the league.
And I'm going to throw out another name in that category of guys who like who seemingly can take that next step to elite level. And you guys are going to throw shade at me, and it's going to get to the next point, I promise. I think Devin Booker is kind of in that category of a guy who
that's your man though, Corey.
Go ahead, Amon. I'll tell you why I'm upset.
I think obviously, look, I've been off the Devin Booker bandwagon for a long time.
We know. That's why I'm upset.
I've jumped on it recently, but I just think this guy does have the potential. We're not going to be like looking at this guy if he takes that superstar lead step and saying like, oh wow, this is a surprise, right? Like he obviously has all of the talent in the world to do it. And for me, he has even more talent than Jamal Murray. So it's like that guy is the guy who we're like saying, oh yeah, if he's the next up in the league, we're not surprised.
The reason I'm upset is because I've been on the D-Book train since Kentucky. And this guy, Aman, he sold his Devin Booker stock after, what is this? A scrimmage video where Devin Booker complained about being double teamed. So Aman, who was Mr. Anti-Scrimmage, became a Devin Booker hater all of last year because of what? A scrimmage video. That's why I'm upset. So AJ, you're right. D-Book is my man. That's correct. I'm upset because of now Aman wants to change course. Now that Phoenix got an invite to the bubble. See, that's what it is. Now that Phoenix got an invite to a bubble, he wants to change course. I'm not having it.
My one counter to that, and all I'm gonna say is growth. It's growth. Hey, you can't blame a guy for growing. All right. All right. Let's. But another guy who
I'm gonna hold on to that.
I'm like.
Another guy. We don't know if he's actually growing or not, and I'm not sure if this new development is fool's gold or not. But Ben Simmons has apparently added a 3-point jumper. Alert! Ben Simmons has a 3-point jumper. Say it again. Ben Simmons has a.
Everybody, calm down.
No, say it again. Everyone say it at one time.
Look.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Ben Simmons has a 3-pointer. Okay. And I don't know if I believe it or not, but apparently he started saying.
I don't support this.
Yeah, you don't support this. You don't support him being a sports psychologist?
I don't support him advancing, increasing his game. I don't support the development of his game. I want him to stay at this level.
Wait.
This is for strategic reasons.
No. I'm on. Let me
I don't need any problems in Philly right now. We have everything under control over there.
Time out.
Don't need any more disruptions.
Time out, because clearly I'm the only person on this podcast who has consistent takes. Literally 2 minutes ago, viewers, rewind it back. 2 minutes ago, AJ, when describing Denver, talked about how young they were and how they could grow. Ben Simmons is 23 years old. So which is it? Can guys grow?
No. That's my thing.
Can they grow or can they not?
That's my thing. I naturally hope that players grow. Like I'm naturally optimistic. For Ben's case, though, however, I need him to prove him on right. I need him to just prove him on right, and for that his ceiling to be what it is, okay, and for him to not shoot any better, and to not, 3-pointers, 2-pointers, anything outside the paint, he doesn't need to be out there. Just stay where you're at and just be there, because as soon as he starts making shots from outside that paint, and then the 3-pointer, and then he starts taking the jab and the step back and between the legs.
All right, so let me just clarify for the listeners who don't understand what AJ is driving at. My point, we were talking about this in the group chat. I am a Ben Simmons hater. You can put me in that category. I just don't think he's that good right now. I think the 3-point jumper is a welcoming development, but I don't know if it's because he's seeing a sports psychologist or because he stopped dating a Kardashian. So I don't know if he's finally started taking his career seriously, but for me, that was really the issue. Like, I just felt like he wasn't taking his career seriously. He just didn't seem to be growing. He didn't have any development in his jumper. He was
Gonna have to make a call to Miss Kris Jenner. Gonna have to make a quick call to Miss Kris Jenner. That's unacceptable. We had a contract. I need 3 more years.
So Ben Simmons for me right now, like a lot of people view him as this top 15 player, but I just still view him as a guy who scored 1 point in a playoff game. And I think.
Oh, you didn't clarify why I don't want his success. You didn't clarify why I'm actively rooting for his demise.
So right now, I don't know why you're actively rooting for his demise, but my point was that I think Ben Simmons isn't great right now, and I think you think Ben Simmons is very good right now, and that he's
no. I think that he has the potential to dethrone Giannis much quicker than Giannis needs to be on the throne. I feel like Giannis needs to enjoy his time, maybe 2 or 3 years. It's a stacked league, so I can't really give him that much longer.
I knew it.
But if Ben develops a jumper anytime soon,
but
a wrap for my guy. And it's not even a question
of a jumper, right? You think he's this good even independent of his jumper?
Oh yeah, like if he like that Philly team is scary to me. Like they have problems for my guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have guys that stop Giannis, not even just Joel. Ben has moments where he's just stopped Giannis. You feel me? And then you get to Allen, then you get to Joel. Like, they have everything you need. They have the shooters, they have the handlers, they have the passers, they have the defense, they have the bricks, everything you need to stop Milwaukee. It's just that it's like they can only go as far as he goes. So I need him to not go any further. Like, that's it.
So a few points to make. One, Aman made the point earlier that Ben Simmons wasn't taking his career seriously. So that means when he was 20, 21, 22, he wasn't taking his career seriously. You know who doesn't take their career seriously? 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds. So I'm going to give him a pass on that, number one. And my second point is I'm still waiting for them to build a team around this guy. I don't think he ever even has to be able to shoot. If the 4 guys around him can run the floor and shoot from distance, they have a contender. That's what Orlando did with Dwight. I've seen it happen before. I've seen how this guy can play.
A nice between the legs, a nice jab and and pop.
Even that, I'm just like, man.
Even if he has that, it's done.
This guy
not a 3.
This guy attacks the basket so well. He sees the floor so well. He plays the transition so well, and he's big. If you get 4 guys around him, 4 versatile guys who can run and shoot, who is beating Philly?
He's the same size as Giannis, and they're just the same weight. I think they're like the same weight. Like, he was already bigger than Giannis. Giannis had to catch up to Ben. Imagine.
Yeah.
Like I said, Ben Simmons to me is still the guy who scored a single point in a playoff game. And I don't know
When
if
he was 22.
Hey, but I don't know if his game has changed that much at this point. He still lacks that offensive bag that I desperately desire.
Can I ask a question? What had Kobe done in the playoffs at 22? What had not Shaq, what had KD done? What had MJ done at 22?
The difference between those guys and
he was
Ben
22
is that those guys could score at will. And Ben Simmons is not a guy who can score at will. He's not a guy who's just, if you give him the ball, he's going to give you a bucket. And for me, Kobe was that guy. Shaq was that guy. A lot of these superstars are that guy. 99% of the superstars in the league are that guy. The only one I can think of is like Magic Johnson. And
so, okay, I'm happy you said it. So I'm going to give you a comp, and I'm going to preface by saying, in my opinion, Magic is probably the third best player of all time and easily the best point guard of all time. I'm not saying he's that, but the comp I would give you is Magic. Magic could never shoot the basketball, ever. He was never, ever, ever, ever a shooter. Right now, I'm not saying he's going to win 5 championships like Magic did, but if you put shooters around him, let me finish. If you put shooters around him, can he win 1 championship? Can he win 2? I'm not saying he's going to get what Magic got. I'm just saying, could he get 1 or 2 with the right pieces around him?
I mean, it's a valid question to ask, but for me, it's like that's all theoretical, right? Like how are we going to get those shooters, right? How are we going to build that team? Are we ever going to see that team? And so you can't just say, okay, this guy needs this, and this, and therefore he's going to be really good. If you're good, you're good, right?
Okay, so but what my counter would be, so that's theory, but what's not theory is at the age of 22, he was leading a Philly team, and they got 2 rounds deep in the playoffs, and they lost on a bullshit shot from Kawhi Leonard at the buzzer, which we all saw. So they were almost a Final Four team last year as a 22-year-old, and that's not theory.
All right, so I have a few examples for you guys, or a few comparisons, I guess, questions I'm going to ask you. Ben Simmons versus. This is the Ben Simmons versus series, okay? So let's see how much you guys like Ben Simmons, okay? Ben Simmons versus.
It's not about like, it's about respect.
Respect, okay. Let's see how much you guys respect Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons versus Donovan Mitchell, the guy who won Rookie of the Year.
Ben Simmons. Next.
Yeah, I'm going Ben, and what I'm going to say to that as well is, look, I mean, how many times can a guy? So what is Donovan? Is he 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah,
he's not taller than 6'2". He's not taller than 6'2".
He's like 6'2". What is he?
He's like 6'2" or 6'3".
Are you on it?
I'm on it. He's 6'1".
So what's his
6'1"?
Yeah. So next.
My question there: how many? Wait, yeah. So my question: how many NBA champions had a guy who was 6'1" or shorter? You have Isaiah's Pistons. Anybody else as their best player? So give me the 6'10" Ben Simmons. Easily.
Sure.
All right.
AJ?
Yeah.
Oh, you took Ben? All right. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons versus Devin Booker.
Ben.
Again, Ben. Look, he's proven it. He's done more in this league.
All right. So
and I just want to establish for myself, at least going forward, like I like players that hang their hat on defense, and Ben, he does that. I don't know if that's what you've noticed in his game, but he definitely takes pride on that side of the ball, and he's doing it 1 through 5.
All right, so
who's next? Who's next?
All right, well let me give you my counter to the Devin Booker one. I'll just throw it out and then we'll move on.
Okay.
For me, I'd rather have Devin Booker because he's a better scorer, and that's what I value in the league. So I'll just throw that out there.
But you just said we were given so much theory. Right? I haven't seen Devin Booker use that to win basketball games. So who's using theory now?
I mean, we're talking about rosters. Come on now. Devin Booker's playing with Ricky Rubio.
But time out.
In the West.
But Aman, you just sat there and said, hey, you can't just tell me if they build the right team around this guy, he'll be good. That's what you're doing right now.
Well, for me, it's not – Devin Booker doesn't even have a good team. He doesn't have even like a mediocre team. His team's trash. And
I'm just saying.
We need some players around.
Hey, man, stop disrespecting Kelly like that.
I mean, he just got there recently.
Tsunami Poppy.
All right, who's next?
And so this next one, because AJ values defense so much, Ben Simmons versus Bam Adebayo.
That's a toughie. I saw that, and I was like, damn, I can't choose right away. I have to think about this.
Get
I'm still thinking a little
the
bit.
fuck out of here.
Nah, man. Because Bam got enough upside too. Like, I know there's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like, people are just disgusted with power forwards right now for some reason. Like, they just don't respect them.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody respects the 6'10" guy anymore that actually plays like a 6'10" guy. Because all the 6'10" guys play like a point guard now. But I don't know. Like, he's really damn good. And I mean, I guess I'll take Ben because Ben has a higher upside for sure. But like right now, Bam is better. And
For me,
what are we doing?
So with Ben Simmons, we're talking about upside, and for me, there's two different versions of Ben Simmons' upside, right? One with the jump shot and one without the jump shot. And so, which upside are we talking about here? One with him having a jumper, or one with him not having a jumper?
The upside that I'm talking about is end of a close playoff game. The ball's in his hand, full court, and he's going to see the floor and make a play. That's the one that I'm talking about. And if he gets the jumper, great. If he gets the jumper, cool. If not, I'm cool with that too. He's going to either get to the basket or he's going to find somebody.
I don't see his growth so binary, shot, no shot. Nah, I feel like he's comfortable where he is now, and he's going to get more and more comfortable further and further outside. So whatever that looks like, whether he's driving and he wants to put up like a quick floater or a quick jumper, or he can back to the basket and do a move on you, like he's just going to get more and more comfortable doing those things, like you said, adding to his bag. And the more he does that, what's stopping him? You know what I'm saying?
All right, I got one that's going to stump Corey right now.
Don't do it. Not my guy. Not my guy.
Yeah. I got to do it to him. Jason Tatum.
I'm not doing this one. I'm out. I
mean,
Ben.
let's really dive into this though, because
I'm out.
I really feel like Ben's that guy.
Come on, Corey.
Like,
your case.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love Ben Simmons and Jason Tatum too much. Don't do this to me.
But who are you picking and why? I know
who's the better player.
I know who you're picking, and I know why.
Who's the better player? Who's the better player, Corey? Who is it?
I hate to do it. I think as of right now in the Eastern Conference, it goes Giannis to number one. For me right now, the second best player in the East is still Jason Tatum. I've seen him do it in big moments, and I've seen him get on the floor against LeBron and AD and outplay everyone on the court. I got to go Jason Tatum, but it's close.
Yeah, it's so weird
close.
Because my mind tells me that naturally watching them play, Ben does more things better. But when you get to the nitty gritty, it's like Jason is definitely a better scorer, hands down, undeniably. Like, he's gonna put the ball in the hoop. So, but at the same time, but at the same time, it's weird, right? Because I can definitely realize that. But at the same time, if I'm watching Bucks versus Celtics or Bucks versus Sixers, I'm way more scared about what Ben's gonna do.
I know, but
you know what I'm saying?
But
I see Jason, and I'm like, okay, he'll probably make that. Ben is like more likely to convert the ball in his hands to 2 points, whether it's his 2 points or somebody else's 2 points. It's like he's gonna penetrate, draw a foul, or he's gonna penetrate, draw somebody, get it open, and it's just like he just has so much gravity. He just draws so much attention. Whereas Jason has got that ISO game on lock, and he can put the ball in the bucket, Kobe style, classic style. But it's just that classic, like.
I don't know, Aman. I might switch, man. I might switch, honestly. This is gonna sound like
before you make your final point, I'm gonna give you the final point. Before we make it, let me throw this theory out here: is Ben Simmons just a really good regular season player?
He's 23.
No, he's a really good player. He's just a really good player.
23, and he's been the leader of a team who is one game away from the Final Four. So I'm not buying
just
that.
Too quick. Like
leaders, so I don't know about.
No, I disagree with that. Who has the ball in their hand down the stretch, bringing the ball up?
Who has a bigger contract?
Who is bringing the ball up down the stretch?
Who has a bigger contract?
For now.
Anyways.
For now.
Nah, I'm telling you, man. Once Ben becomes more like, I'll even like Corey's alluding to, I'll even concede, like, if Ben was just more comfortable 10 feet, 11 feet outside of the rim, he's better than Joel, bro. He's just that much. He's just that much that talented and draws that much attention. You know, like
especially in the
you can throw the ball to Joel. Okay, he'll back it down. You know, maybe draw a double team. But when Ben has the ball, that first step is so lethal. His first step, whose first step is more lethal than him and Giannis? And not even Giannis. Like, sometimes he has a way better first step than Giannis. You know what I mean? And once he gets past that first step, he's already at the rim. Like, it's just hard to describe how effective he is.
I should add to his context. I'm not anti-Joel Embiid. If this were 1993, I'd rather have Embiid. I'm talking about in the modern game. I'm taking the guy with the ball in his hands. That's all I'm saying there.
Exactly. Final point here. Final point on this topic. Corey mentions modern game and then mentions Magic Johnson, a 1979 player comparison. That's all I'm going to say. It's all,
okay, but look, here's the thing.
I knew I was waiting to do that.
Yeah, I knew he was waiting, but here's where he's wrong is because I also gave you Dwight Howard. The formula in Orlando was we're going to put 4 shooters around a guy who can't shoot. And when you double our guy, he's kicking. That formula is timeless. It's worked in every era of the NBA. 4 shooters around a really good player has always worked.
A really good post player, a different type of player. But let's move on. 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 The bubble wouldn't be complete without some quarantine drama, and Lou Will unfortunately fell victim to the NBA Twitter this week. Pour one out for this guy. # nobody is safe. In the midst of being in the bubble and getting ready for the scrimmages in the start of the regular season, Lou Will unfortunately had to leave Disney World. It's Disney World? Disneyland. I forget. Disneyland. And he had to head back to Atlanta to deal with a death in the family. But in the midst of his absence, Six God was unfortunately documented partaking in the Atlanta late night club scene. And after being exposed by a Snapchat from a fan that we all love, a fan that we all know.
What's popping?
Corey calls this guy the hottest white person in the game right now. I personally think it's Tyler Hero, or it's a close 1-2, but maybe I'm out of line like always. But Jack Harlow was this fan who decided to Snapchat Lou Will at the Magic City Atlanta Strip Club. And so Lou Will had to explain all of this, and basically he said he was just there to get some food, particularly wings that are named after him. And if you guys haven't seen the pictures, they look absolutely delicious. So I do not blame him. But unfortunately for this guy, he's going to miss the start of the restart, and he's going to miss the Lakers game. And so getting those wings are obviously going to have some consequence to the season. So do you guys blame him? Have you guys seen the pictures of these wings? What are your thoughts on Lou Will? And I mean, I personally think he's in the right here because those wings look delicious. And, you know, the Clippers are going to be in the playoffs, man. They don't need to win that game. It's regular season, as we always
I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want to feel like that and be Mr. Sympathetic, I don't feel like that. I guess, you know, just being really jaded about how things are going with COVID overall, especially here in Texas, I'm just like, can you guys just like try to take things seriously? Like, just give a little effort and try to take this thing seriously, especially in Florida, Texas, all these hot places right now. Like, do you really need to go to come on, like, are we really doing this right now?
I'm with AJ. The first thing I'll say is if you really need wings, these guys are filthy rich. There's DoorDash. It literally is like a $5 delivery fee. That's first of all. Second of all, my thing with the overall NBA is they've got to either be 100% in or 100% out. If we're going to play the games, be 100% locked down and make this thing happen, or just wait till next season.
Exactly.
What you can't do is be halfway, because here's the problem. Is if you sit there and say, we're going to do this, but kind of be kind of in, kind of out, well, it costs a lot of money to run this tournament, right? But what happens when this virus spreads and you have to start canceling games? You get in a situation where it's like, it costs us a lot of money. Exactly. It costs a lot of money, but we're also killing the revenue at the same point in time. So for me, it's like either be all the way in or be all the way out. Both are great for business. What's terrible for business is being halfway and then having to cancel this thing in 2 weeks.
So it sounds like you're mad at the NBA as opposed to like Lou Will.
Yes, but I am though. For me, it's like, look, they have to understand is unless you find a way to either heavily penalize this
Well,
or
they did, right? They did suspend him or they did quarantine him for 10 games, and he's going to miss a regular season game. So, I mean, the NBA was definitely serious
that's good.
punishment.
Right, that's good. I guess all I'm saying is at a systemic level, right, they probably knew something like this was going to happen. Like they knew some player was going to find their way out. And to your point, they just have to decide how do they want to dock out punishment, and will it be enough? Because again, if you go halfway, to me, that's disaster. It's we invest all this money into the bubble, and then we end up canceling the whole thing in 2 weeks. That's a disaster.
Who's more at fault here? Is it Jack Harlow for snitching on Lou Will at the strip club, or is it Lou Will for being there in the first place?
Hey, man. Hey.
Definitely Lou Williams. Come on.
Yeah, man.
What are you doing? Go watch some film, bro.
It's
3 months.
If you were a real Jack Harlow fan, you know he raps about this, man. Me and the Cardinals are sharing a section. You know what I'm saying? He's been rapping about this, man.
Fair enough.
Parties with the NBA and the college basketball players, you know this. You know what I'm saying? It's not his fault that Lou Will got caught in the trap this time.
Yeah. You were kind of mentioning, I guess, just the overall NBA stance on COVID and kind of just, like taking these precautions and making sure the bubble is adequate and nobody's coming back with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think so far they could have been, maybe a little bit more stringent on Lou Will, but they did suspend him and they're making sure he's quarantined. And a lot of these guys are leaving, which is not a good sign. And they're all leaving for personal reasons. And I mean, you can't question that. Yeah.
No, but you can though, because it's a slippery slope. Every single player can say, I have a personal reason to leave. That's why I'm like, we as a collective are either all the way in or we're all the way out. Just yesterday, the Florida Marlins, different sport, baseball, but the Marlins had 14 players test positive for COVID. There's talks this might cancel the baseball season. So when we sit there and say personal reasons, that sounds great. I get it. But if this thing spreads, you could have the entire bubble canceled.
Yeah, and I mean, not even just like the bubble canceled, and the Ringer, and we're just going to move on to the next one, I guess. The Ringer recently kind of like released a video detailing, the concept of an asterisk season, and in the video they kind of like summarized it and kind of attributed to like Phil Jackson's remarks about the Spurs championship during the '99 lockout season, basically saying, it wasn't a full season. A champion has to win 82 games. Blah, 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 for them to be, a full champion. But the video also kind of hinted at like some other reasons as to why this season could, be considered an asterisk season, obviously on top of the pandemic changing, the entire structure. But, it did add an interesting layer, and I kind of want to throw out this question to you guys. What is going to happen if, someone like LeBron does catch COVID, but it's in the middle of the Western Conference Finals, or it's in the middle of the finals, or it's Giannis before Game 7, right? I mean, at that point, are we looking at this thing as an asterisk, or are we looking at this like, a serious injury, like Derrick Rose tearing his ACL in 2010, or Klay Thompson and KD tearing their, whatever last year. So for me, I don't really know how to look at it, because initially I was saying this is definitely an asterisk season. Even no matter who wins it, and it's probably going to be the Rockets, it's still an asterisk season. But now the more I look at it, and the more you're talking about these guys needing to be responsible and making sure they're taking precautions, it's like, well, if they catch COVID at this point, it's because they left and they came back with something, or it was on their own, it was probably their own fault doing something stupid, right? Like the NBA has taken, I would say enough precautions to make sure that if you're in that bubble, you're probably not going to catch it. And if you end up leaving and catching it or something and coming back, then, that's on you. And so now we're kind of questioning whether this is an asterisk or this is a real season or not. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
So, I did some preparation before the call, as a big time journalist over here, right? So what I'm going to say is every season is an asterisk season. And again, I did some preps, so let's go. Let's take a trip down memory lane.
Okay.
2019 didn't count because KD and Clay both got injured. That year's out. 2018 didn't count because CP3 blew out his hamstring, so that year's out. 2016 didn't count because Draymond got suspended, Andrew Bogut got injured, so that year's out. 2015 didn't count because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love both were injured and missed the finals.
And everyone else.
Thank you. Yes, right. So 2015, Kyrie, Kevin Love missed the finals, so that year didn't count. 2014, Kevin Durant only played 27 games total, so that year didn't count. 2013,
the whole year didn't count.
look, hear me out.
Move on. Just move on.
There's more. 2013, Russell Westbrook blows his knee in the Patrick Beverly. So Russell Westbrook misses playoffs 2013. That year didn't count. And finally, I'll stop here. 2011, Derrick Rose tears the ACL. That year didn't count. So when you divvy it up from last decade, we have 2 championships that actually counted. So I don't want to hear people saying the COVID year is an asterisk. It's no different those from every other year. The 2,
just out of curiosity.
if you're counting at home, 2012, the Miami Heat, they beat a healthy Oklahoma City Thunder team.
Oh.
And then as well as 2017, let me see, 2017. It's one of those Golden State years. It's the first Golden State year.
Well,
so
let's not even forget
dominated everybody.
Let's not forget 2012. Derrick Rose was still injured throughout the whole season. Right, so even if we're throwing out the Kevin Durant one, we're throwing out
right? So the point I'm making is that by that logic, we have one season in the entire decade that had a real champion. So I don't want to hear an asterisk for this year's championship.
But don't you think there's like a little bit of a difference between, I guess, someone tearing their ACL in a game as opposed to them catching COVID kind of outside of the realm of basketball?
But you could just as easily catch COVID during the game too. Me and you are posting up.
Yeah.
You have COVID. Guess who has it now?
Well, I guess it's not like you don't know what it can be attributed to, right? Like it's just you get COVID, you don't know what it like. It's just like it's like an illness, right? It's not like an injury. So you think there's like a practical difference between that?
I go.
There is because there's a timetable with injuries. You know what I mean? There's no timetable. Well, I mean,
that's not true. There is a timetable with COVID. Right?
I mean, it's very sporadic. I mean, it depends on severity, lung damage, all those other different things. I don't know.
But in general, like
it's very novel illness.
So I guess my question for the group is missing games is missing games, right? Like any injury is not predicted beforehand. Nobody knew Kevin Durant was going to blow his Achilles until it happened. Right. So I guess I don't understand what's the functional difference between in both cases you missed games.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to conflate. I think the change in the season structure midseason is reason enough to call this an asterisk season. I don't know if an injury would make it more so an asterisk, but I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, even with that being said, even the bubble is probably going to be harder for these NBA teams just adjusting to all this stuff. So
it's fair.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's just very different, and we don't know if it's easier or harder. I don't know what the purpose of an asterisk is. It doesn't even go in the history book, so it doesn't really matter. So, I guess ultimately we're arguing about nothing. But let's get into the last thing, and we're gonna make some predictions. we're gonna give you guys our all NBA picks, but I just kind of want to, we're coming down to it. It's 3 days away when we're probably gonna release this podcast. Actually, maybe one day. But the NBA season's starting on the 31st, and we're gonna get some real NBA basketball with real playoff implications. And for me, the most exciting thing is obviously the return of Zion and that 8 seed race in the West. And the Zelikins, with Zion being back, are looking very, very strong to take that 8 seed. And look, the Grizzlies are looking very good as well. Ja Morant has practically dominated these scrimmages, and the Blazers added a healthy Nurkic. So I'm just going to kind of ask you guys, do we have any hot takes for the shortened regular season? I'm going to give you guys mine, and then you guys can just give yours. So I'll just start with one, and I already mentioned it. Consider the Zelikins have the easiest schedule, and they also got Zion back. I think Zion ends up being the MVP of the bubble. They take the 8th seed. MVP of the bubble in that he's the best player he's the best player of the bubble or the most
had the best performance.
Yeah, and so I think they take the 8th seed and they surprise.
You said the Grizzlies?
No, the Zelikins.
Oh, the Zelikins.
And like I mentioned last podcast, I think they're going to give the Lakers a lot of trouble in the playoffs. But we already gave that prediction. So what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Corey.
I think you got to make it past round 1 to get the MVP. That's my thought.
Oh, they will. All right, that's a hot take. All right, my next hot take. All right, go ahead. If you want to chime in.
This was like which of those three will take the 8th seed, right?
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
I was gonna say. I mean, yeah, we're going with the Zelikins. Come on. They got the easiest schedule. Is Zion coming back? Like, is that?
Yeah, he's back. He's playing.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think they'll contend with the Lakers because Zion can't do this thing by himself. I mean, it's AD, it's JaVale, it's Dwight, it's LeBron. All versus Zion. Come on, that's a lot for him. So,
he's got the best point guard in the league.
Oh, come on,
my boy Alonzo.
Hey, my boy Alonzo. One team has Dion Waiters, one team does not. So let's just come on. Let's be real with ourselves here.
One team has my boy Lonzo. One team has Lonzo.
Hey, Lonzo ain't no Dion. Let me tell you one thing about that. Lonzo ain't no Dion, and that's what that is. But anyways, yeah, that's my pick.
All right, let me get into my other hot takes for the start of the regular season. This one's gonna peeve Corey, but let me just get through all of them before you guys interrupt me. Jaylen Brown is actually going to be the Celtics' best player in the restart. I have a lot of high hopes for Jaylen Brown. I think I have just been watching a lot of tape for him, and Corey's dropping his headphones, but Jaylen Brown should have been the all-star for them this year, and honestly, like, he's just as good as Jason Tatum. On the defensive end, he's just as good of a scorer, and he's a very good three-point shooter. And for a lot of Jaylen Brown's career, it's been about consistency. And honestly, I think it's like a mental issue with him and just, it hasn't clicked. And so I think with the pressure of the bubble and kind of just it being an isolated experience, I feel like that really benefits someone like Jaylen Brown, who's just going to sit there, grind for 3 months and hopefully.
I just want to make a quick comment on that. I don't agree or disagree. I just want to add that I disagree. Jason's definitely more talented. He's just better handler.
What are we doing?
Shooter. He's definitely a better offensive player, but I'm not saying that to, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jaylen Brown is still very good, and they are almost a wash.
He's a good player.
Jason is 1A and Jaylen is 1B. Like, they're very close when it comes to like what they actually produce on the floor. It's just like when you watch them play individually, you'll notice that Jason has just a more a natural feel with the ball. Like, he has a more better handle, and he takes harder shots and makes harder shots. So
Jaylen Brown's a really good player. At the end of games, the ball will be in Jason Tatum's hands. Brad Stevens believes that Jason Tatum is a better player.
But
Brad Stevens believes
that. To me and Amon's point, that's not necessarily the case.
And I actually don't know that. I think
Jaylen is very dangerous. There's Kemba.
It's possible.
But no, like, Jaylen
is not Jaylen Brown.
It could be.
Jaylen can put the ball on the floor now. Like, it's they're pretty good.
Again, Jalen's a really good player. Don't get me wrong. One of my hot takes will involve Boston, so let me not spoil it. But I like Jaylen Brown.
All right. All right, let me just get through these other three real quickly. Lakers went early and they experiment for the next 7 games. Not really hot take. They just probably beat the Clippers and don't worry about the next 7 games. I think Dallas establishes themselves as a legitimate sleeper. Luka probably has a really good bubble. I think Kristaps is probably more healthy.
Luka is so crazy, bro. I hate him and love him at the same time. Like it's
incredible.
He's so frustrating and satisfying to watch.
Yeah, and and so the fifth one. Hold on. First, Dallas. They also have Seth Curry, and I think he's gonna.
Seth Curry's going crazy.
But the fifth one is now Sixers are fake news, and like I said, it goes back to me thinking Ben Simmons is not good, but just don't think they're going to do much damage. Just don't think they're going to do damage.
They're fake news for now, which I do enjoy. I will agree with, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Philly. I really don't know, nor do I care. Because
I go back to they still haven't put the right team around Ben Simmons, but neither here nor there. My hot take is going to piss off AJ. My hot take, this is the year that Boston wins the East. That's right. I'm going back on what I said last week. Boston wins the East.
You better shut your mouth.
Jason
you better
Tatum,
stop that.
And we get an entire summer of articles with the headline, is Jason Tatum the best player in the East? Is Jason Tatum better than Giannis?
No, after back-to-back MVP seasons.
The best player? I don't know. That's my hot take.
That's hot.
Scorching.
My hot take would be that the finals is going to be Heat Bucks. We're not worried about Philly. We're not worried about the Celtics. We're worried about my man Jimmy and my man Bam.
I don't think that's hot. I think that's just the favorite. I think those are just the favorites.
Oh, well, I don't know. What? I feel like people are definitely more favoring the Celtics or the Raptors.
Like between the Heat. It's like those. I mean, it's the Heat, Celtics, Raptors, Sixers, right? Like all the same. I feel like.
Yeah.
But semi-hot. Not as hot as Corey's.
Yeah, I'm not over
here. I've seen this Boston core.
I've
seen this Boston core get to the Final Four when they were younger than this. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
True. And
my hot take is it's gonna be Lakers Rockets, and it's gonna be a thrill ride. It's gonna be a crazy 7-game series, just like totally nothing you've never seen before.
And you know what?
Tall ball against tall ball.
I love you said that. I love you said that because I'm changing my predictions from last week. It's not the Clippers, bro. It's the Rockets all day. The Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets are looking crazy, man. They added Luke. They added Jeff Green. Like they got pieces. When you have James and Russ and PJ and Covington, like you're adding two of the best defenders, two of the best offenders. Go handle the rest, man. Go handle the rest.
Hey, you put in Eric Gordon on the court. Hopefully,
you feel me? Hey, you got everything else you need. Ben, you got Eric, like you said. You got shooters everywhere. Jeff is still out there. He can hit a couple shots. I don't need him to give you any more than 5-10 minutes. That's cool. But I like Jeff Green's game. I've always liked this game.
All right, so I'm gonna get your take. We had this conversation, and I want to get your take because I just heard it, but. How do you feel about the Rockets right now? Are they contenders? Are they in that top tier of contenders right now?
You already know what I said. So.
Yeah? You put them in.
That's for Corey, right? You already know what I said. It's going 7. Thrill ride.
Yeah.
But of course, Brondo's going to
look. We have seen Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. We've seen what Russell Westbrook
this is where
ISO turns into. Actual facts and data.
Gosh, look at this guy's prehistoric game. Yawn.
Prehistoric.
Have you not been watching the game? You not see what James is doing out there, busting ass.
But here's the thing. Every single year, regular season, Russell Westbrook and Harden are incredible, and I watch how it ends every year. So if you want to stay on that drug, you can. I got off that train a couple years ago.
Good. Take a hit.
I got off that train a couple years ago. They always look good regular season.
Feeling good right now. Take a hit. I got a bump for you.
Hey, James Harden, you don't get them same foul calls in the playoffs. And Westbrook, Westbrook going ISO and taking jumpers doesn't work in the playoffs.
Not
for him.
Baby. Feel the ride.
Not for that player.
Feel the high. Feel the high. Feel the high. Nah, baby. Feel the high. Feel the ride.
All right, guys. We are going to end this podcast on our All-NBA picks. Let's just do this quickly. Let's get it through. I'm going to start it off. My first All-NBA first team is very easy. First let me preface this. I don't like All-NBA teams using positions anymore. I think it's stupid. I think they should just go top 5 best players. And the fact that they use centers and forwards and guards, it's just nonsense. And the fact that it affects like contracts and stuff like that is even more stupid.
Well, I mean, you can't say that because basketball is always going to be a game of 5 positions.
No.
And you're always going to need to fill them out with 5.
No.
This is not cohesively played together.
No. That's not true at all.
No.
That's not true at all.
Russell Westbrook is our
literally
center
not true
right
at
now.
all.
Russell Westbrook is the Rockets starting center.
That's not true at all. Kevin Durant doesn't have a position. LeBron James doesn't have a position. Kawhi Leonard does not have a position.
I mean,
they all
forwards.
play multiple positions. That's not one position. I'm going to point that out for you. That's not one position.
AJ with his prehistoric takes.
Okay.
All right. We all got some of that. We all live in a dark age sometimes. Okay, so let me just get into the All-NBA first team. This one's pretty obvious. It goes Anthony Davis, LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Lillard. The only one that's really a surprise maybe is Lillard, but he's had a really fantastic year despite the Blazers not really being competitive. There really isn't a better case for the first team in guards positions right now. CP3, Doncic, Beal, Westbrook, Tatum, Trey, Lowry. They're just obviously haven't had as good a year as Lillard, so he's my first team. What do you guys think?
So the only thing I switched out, I didn't even really switch it. I couldn't choose. I had the tiebreaker, Lillard, Doncic. I can't choose between them.
It's close. Tiebreaker for me goes to the vet. So.
Oh, you know what? That's probably fair. But I mean, because KP was hurt for most of the year, so Doncic was doing it by himself, and their team is not as good as the Blazers, you know?
Yeah.
And they're playing in a way tougher division.
Yeah, I agree.
Fair points.
All right, my second team was Jokic, Kawhi, Butler, Doncic, CP3. Kawhi was the best player on this list, probably the best player who didn't make All-NBA first team, and he probably could have made it if it weren't for LeBron and Giannis having really great years. He obviously
load management too.
He obviously missed some games. Butler's in because of what he did with the Heat.
Honestly, lucky to make it second team, really, how many games he took off. But I give it to him.
Yeah. CP3, obviously the year he's had, he deserves it. Doncic, third best guard in the league. Jokic over Embiid because he's been more consistent, more dominant. The Nuggets have been much better. So I don't think there's many.
Oh, Corey, did you give your first team, or are you just gonna?
No, I'm just commenting on you guys' first teams on this one.
Okay, so my second team, and then I wanted to ask Aman a question. My second team is Jokic, Kawhi, but I have Middleton instead of Butler. And then I have the Doncic Lillard tie break. So I guess whoever I didn't choose for the first team is the second team. And then I have CP3. But then I look at our list and our second team and how we rank them. And I'm like, so how do you feel about CP3 not being on the Rockets? He's still an all-NBA second team at 30 what?
36, right? I think.
Yeah, I think he's older than LeBron.
Yeah.
And he's still up there, better than Westbrook, still doing what he's got to do. First NBA second team.
I've been wavering back and forth on it because initially I was all in on Russell Westbrook, and then the season started, and I was like, "Wow, we lost CP3 for Westbrook. This is not a benefit." But then after the trade, the All-Star break, and a little bit before that, after we traded Capella, Westbrook's just been probably the best guard in the league, if I'm being honest. He's just been better than Harden at this point. So
that's so crazy. It's like Westbrook. It's just interesting how players are to me because you can look at CP3, who's elite everywhere he goes. He does the same thing. Clippers, Rockets, Thunder. He's the same guy, same effectiveness, same second team same second NBA all team, whatever. And you look at Russ, and it's just like, if he's not in it, if he's not in that system that really brings it out, he brings you down.
Yeah, and some guys,
he takes you to the highest heights.
Yeah, and some guys. I mean, CP3 is a guy who you build systems after. He makes systems, right?
Yep.
Like he's the point guard. He's a
CP3.
point guard. Westbrook doesn't make systems. He's a system in itself, I think. Like he's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain the difference, I guess. But CP3 can play in any system, do anything, because that's how versatile he is. And Westbrook is just his own thing.
I would add too, for me, what's separated them their whole career is consistency, right? Like when you show up to the stadium, I know the CP3 that I'm getting. I know pretty much what his stat line and performance is going to be on both ends of the floor. Westbrook, I have no idea on any given night who he's going to be. So, and you could even argue
it's crazy.
Look, I'm just going to add. You could even argue that on Westbrook's best night, he might be better than CP, but the unpredictability at point guard, for me, is what's made CP3 a better player for their careers.
And I wanted to add what makes it more interesting now that you said that. It's like they both give the same effort and they both have the same like drive to like, you know what I'm saying, the killer instinct.
Mm-hmm.
But their play is just like, it's just not the same. I don't know. But Aman, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think Westbrook's peak might be better than Chris Paul's. And that's why if you're looking for like a playoff team, you might, or if like you're looking to build a team, you might look to build it around Westbrook more than Chris Paul because you think he has a higher ceiling than Chris Paul. But at the end of the day, 10 times out of 10, you're probably going to take Chris Paul because you know what you're getting.
Bingo. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about in their primes, I would take Chris Paul, again, based on predictability. Even if his ceiling isn't as high, in a 7-game series, I know who I'm getting 7 games.
Yeah.
And if I don't know who the other 4 players are on my team, I'm taking Chris. If I have an idea of who the other 4 are, I might take Russ.
The issue I have with that, the issue I have with that is that I know what Chris Paul's ceiling is as the best player on the team, and I know it's not good enough to win a championship. And
neither is Russ's. Russ hasn't proven that.
See, I don't know if that's true with the way the Rockets are playing right now. Because right now he is the best player on the team. He's the one driving the system. And obviously Harden has a lot to do with that and helps it a lot.
It's kind of weird. Like James is the one having to adjust.
Yeah, but Westbrook, the trade was really made, and you guys will see it in the article I wrote, but the trade was really made to benefit Westbrook, right? Like Capella was just clogging the lane, and now Westbrook can play center. He can bully guards. He can take centers to the rim. And so
he's playing more shooting guard, really, though, right?
But he's always been that, though.
Yeah, and I mean that's credit to Mike D'Antoni. He does
put back in a natural position.
Yeah, he does give the ball to Westbrook, but he also allows Westbrook to play off Harden well. So that's my Westbrook take. But let's move on to the third team. I have Embiid, Siakam, Simmons, Westbrook, and Beal. Like I mentioned, Westbrook is in there. He's probably the most contentious of the guys in there. But ever since the trade, he's just been unstoppable and borderline, one of the best players in the league. So I think he definitely deserves a third team ballot. Beal, for me, he was the second best scorer in the league this year. Didn't do much with Washington, but over guys like Lowry, Trae Young, and I guess Jason Tatum, who, he kind of came on in the last 20 games or so, but not as much as Westbrook. I think Beal passes Tatum in that regard. Simmons and Siakam, for me, are kind of pretty good locks. I mean, Brandon Ingram's in there. Kind of depending on how you classify Tatum, he could be in there over Simmons maybe, but I still think Simmons has had a more consistent season, so you just kind of got to give it to Simmons. But yeah.
So you're just going to totally disrespect Chris Middleton, huh?
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, I know. I look. This is my take on Chris Middleton. I think this year he's He's definitely taken another step. Last year, he was definitely looking kind of like a system guy, kind of a little bit confused. His first year in the system, just kind of trying to figure it out, more playing off Giannis. But now I think this year they're more comfortable with saying, look, we can give Chris the ball and he can go get us a bucket. And we don't need Giannis to be here all the time, right? Like Chris is good enough now.
It's been really nice. It's been really nice because Giannis was starting to get stressed out. He was starting to spiral. Like he was just like, I can't just keep doing the same thing. It's not working anymore.
I mean, look, I'm not going to disrespect Chris Middleton. I think he definitely has an argument to be in this, but at the end of the day,
not even third team.
You're not taking Chris Middleton over Simmons or Siakam. So
no.
That's where it boils down to.
So. There's only so many spots.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking him over. Who am I taking him over? Right on the list.
Well, you took him your second team.
Yeah, he's on the second team, dude. He's better than Bill. He's better than Butler. He's better than Tatum. He's better than Siakam. Yeah, I will actually take him over all those guys.
I just want to point out that really, Aman is not the one who is disrespecting Chris Middleton. The real disrespect hasn't happened yet. That's going to be when Giannis, the first chance he gets, leaves town. That's going to be the real disrespect.
Oh. Hey.
I mean, I can't say it won't happen, but
hey, and if you're capping for Chris Middleton like this, second team All-NBA, there is no excuse for Giannis.
No excuse.
No excuses for Giannis.
I'm not worried at the slightest, man. Come on, we get into the chip.
Look, I said it last year. If Giannis can't win this year's East with LeBron not even involved, I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear anything else.
It's a lock.
This man.
I know y'all trying to be funny and make it exciting.
Ain't nobody funny.
It's really not going to be that exciting.
Hey, I'm on 2 questions. I only have 2 questions for the courtroom.
All right,
Robin Lopez.
Final 2 questions of the podcast.
Only 2 questions, and it pertains to Giannis winning or not winning the East. First question: is LeBron James still in the Eastern Conference?
Hold on. Let me check the internet. Oh no, he's not.
Okay. Thank you. My final question, Your Honor, is Kawhi Leonard still in the Eastern Conference?
Hold on, let me check. Oh, no, he's not there either.
Your Honor, I rest my case. Giannis, get it done.
Hey, oh wait, KD's in there, but where's KD? Hurt, so no.
Giannis, get it done.
Get it done.
It's pretty much already done, but we'll
all right,
watch
guys.
it as it happens.
We're gonna watch it as it happens. We're excited for the start of the season. That's happening very, very soon. Thank you guys.
Were there any scrimmages today?
Yeah, there were scrimmages today.
Oh shit! I didn't watch anything.
Yeah, but that is the podcast. Thank you everyone for listening. As always, you can follow us on all the social medias. Like I mentioned, just check out a website aboutsomethings.com that has everything there. We're going to have some dope content coming out. Like I mentioned, Corey's Drake article, my MVP hierarchy article, and I just released the Pocket Rockets guide, and AJ's got some stuff coming out on Twitter and on Giannis and stuff like that. So we're all writing, we're all getting this stuff done. We're trying to get some content, and we know like only like 4 people are listening to this right now, and it's probably just us. But we appreciate whoever is listening. So reach out to us, give us comments, rate us, do your thing, all the standard stuff. But with that being said, peace.